Good. Okay. Then I am calling to order. It is 4:30. I'll call it to order. The meeting of the OVSD Ordinance Committee for April 27th. And we have a roll call.
Sure. Director Kintosh,
I am here.
Director Quillisi,
Here.
and Director Martinson.
I'm here too.
And then we have Board Chair Fuller here, just as a member of the public observing. But he is sitting at the table.
Okay. Our on this agenda again. Finance Committee. Public comment. Do we have any written or virtual public comment?
Yes, I received a written public comment from Rick Vane this morning. He's actually also connected remotely and may want to actually address the committee directly.
Okay.
Did you want me to speak now or no?
This would be your time. Yes, it's the
Okay.
time for public comment. Oh, I'm sorry, this is public
Yeah, I
comment
thought
for
that was
items not on the
Items not on
agenda.
the agenda, yeah.
And the ordinance in question is on the agenda.
Yeah,
So
so-
if there are no others, then we will move on to item 3, update on review of ordinance OVSD 82. And hear from our district council. Dennis?
Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, I guess I will start with sort of summarizing where we left off at the last committee meeting. You know, we had some discussions about government code section 66311.5 and how it applied not to converted ADU units, but to new units, new standalone ADU units that connected to a private lateral line as opposed to a direct connection to a district trunk line or main line.
Yes.
And, you know, we went back and forth. Some of the committee members had different opinions. The statutory language is not very clear. There's some ambiguity. So I was given direction to reach out to the Housing and Community Development Department with the state. And so I did. I was able to speak with Jamie Candelaria. She's the Senior Housing Accountability Manager in the ADU department up in Sacramento. So I ran through the board's quandary here and asked her if HCD had any direction on the issue. She immediately said that this issue has been coming up with some frequency. We're not the first ones to raise it by any means. She agreed that the language in the statute wasn't a model of clarity. However, unfortunately, she said that the HCD was not taking an official position on this issue.
What?
She said they weren't comfortable with asserting their legal interpretation of the statute at this point. So I confirmed that in an email back to her. I also asked her, to please let us know if HCD ever does take a legal position on this, or if they become aware of any other authority from some other jurisdiction. And that's where it was left. I also reached out to Primefield Water and Sanitation District, see how they were handling this issue. They treat it the same way we do, in that they have been charging connection capacity charges, even for connections to a private lateral line. So just not saying that's right or wrong, just throwing out another district's treatment of the issue. Finally, as far as the Attorney General's office, unfortunately, they will not respond to requests for an opinion from local public agencies, but will only formally respond to state agencies and employees. So that's kind of where we are. I wish I had better direction for you, but we're kind of in the same situation where we left off, I think.
I'm kind of stunned to hear of a regulatory agency that did not want to put its own spin on legislation.
Yeah, I agree, especially HCD. I thought they would, I anticipated them actually, I would have thought that they would have said that there shouldn't be any capacity charges given their preference for ADUs and the policies behind them. But that's the official position I got from them.
Okay.
Well, I was probably the one most vocal about we were doing it wrong. In light of this, I don't think we have any choice but to continue with our ordinance is written.
I think you're right. Till we find a reason to change our ordinance, that reason could very well come from HCD in the future or from changed legislation. But until then, since they've approved it once before, we better leave that sleeping dog lie.
I think it's okay to poke at it now.
Yes,
We wanna have a
I think it was very appropriate to bring up the question. And if HCD had said no, our new interpretation is different, then we'd have to take that into account.
Well, I actually agree. I also believe continue in policy.
Great. Okay.
Because I still continue, no matter how many times I read those two sentences, still reads the same I did before. Perhaps we should hear from Mr. Vane.
Yes, yes. Okay. Well, we've had our report. Do we have any other questions for Dennis, by the way?
Other than Dennis, is there any other magical group in the California state government that would have any, went to the news and they punted, so.
Not that I'm aware of, and until the issue gets pushed, in a court or another agency decides or recognizes that there's some ambiguity here, then we're still in the same spot.
I thought there was some sort of an industry group. There was a woman that came in and told us she could help us. I don't remember the name of it even. Do they have some sort of I guess I'll call it an ordinance committee where they may have come to some conclusion as a group? Because from what I've seen, I didn't look exhaustively at all the different sanitation districts, but I found at least one that was not charging. You found one that is. We are. It sounds like it's and as you said, the person in charge said that it's come up, not been resolved. So that's up to that group that says, if the government can't figure it out, maybe we as a group should push the issue with whoever the regulatory body is and get it resolved one way or the other. Because I can see, people being confused by it. I read it one way, Mr. Kentosh read it another way. And we all have our view on it, and it sounds like the various districts are pursuing it as they view it. So,
Dennis, do we know?
I just don't know if there's somebody that we can go to kind of force this a bit, but it doesn't sound like it.
Dennis, is there any way of knowing there are other agencies that are suing this, are sued in court? Court challenges are underway? Or is that something we just have to wait till the results come out? 'Cause we were sued, but it was found cited on issue other than those two sentences.
Yeah,
Other court cases going on.
yeah. Unless there's a published opinion, we're really not aware of it. There's obviously lawsuits are filed against sanitation districts for a number of things, and unless there was some sort of a thorough review of every lawsuit that's been filed and looking at it to see what sort of what the gist of the action was. I'm not aware of any way to ascertain whether anything's pending right now. I wonder, the Director Martinson mentioned that one agency, that might be the California Association of Sanitary Agencies, CASA. Maybe that's something I could poke around with and see if that
Speaker here, but couldn't remember what group that speaker represented.
I don't remember. I mean, we could go back. and look at
Is
the
it California Special Districts?
The CSDA.
yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry, yeah.
Um,
record. They offered to help. Let's see what they think, I guess. But again, I don't see that we can do anything other than continue to abide by the ordinance as written. We have some.
if there's a reason to change it, we should change it. Amen.
Right. And as you pointed out, HCD has reviewed and approved our existing ordinance as it's written. So until something changes, I think we're okay where we are.
Very good. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for digging into that.
And now that we're through questioning staff, let's go to public comment. Mr. Vane, you want to have something to say today, please?
Thank you. Good afternoon, members of the committee. Yes, my name is Rick Vane, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak today. I know these meetings involve budgets, ordinances, engineering matters, operations, and many issues competing for your attention. But I would respectfully ask for the next several minutes, you view what I'm about to share not simply as an administrative matter, not like a dispute, and not as a policy abstraction. Please view it as something that happened to a real homeowner. Imagine it happened to your property. Imagine it happened to land that had been in your family for generations, because this is what has been for me. I'm not a developer. I'm not a speculator. I'm not a corporation with
Rick, you muted
Still there,
yourself.
sir?
Somehow you muted, Rick.
Oh my gosh, I apologize. I was talking on the way. Anyways, good afternoon, members of the committee. Yes, my name is Rick Vane. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay, thank
we
you.
heard the first couple minutes.
Pardon? Yeah, okay. I appreciate the opportunity to speak today. I know these meetings involve budgets, ordinances, engineering matters, operations, and many issues competing for your attention. But I would respectfully ask that for the next several minutes, you view what I'm about to share not simply as an administrative matter, not as a dispute, not as a policy abstraction. Please view it as something that happened to a real homeowner. Imagine it happened to your property. Imagine it happened to land that had been in your family for generations, because that is what has been for me. I'm not a developer. I'm not a speculator. I'm not a corporation with attorneys on retainer. I'm a longtime resident. I work for a nonprofit organization. My professional life has centered around helping people and serving community needs. The property involved has been in my family since before I was born. That land matters to me in ways beyond dollars. It represents continuity, family history, security, and responsibility. When California encouraged homeowners to build accessory dwelling units to help address the housing shortage, I believed I could do something modest and constructive. I believed I could improve my family property, create housing, and help my older brother have a safe place as he ages. He's getting on, he's almost 80. That was my motivation. Not profit, not speculation, just family. I tried to do everything correctly. Before beginning, I sought guidance. I met with a permit processor familiar with the county building process. I asked about costs, permits, inspections, utility issues. And when sewer matters came up, I was told that I would not be charged any capacity fees under my circumstances. So I proceeded with the project. In January 2020, I contacted the district office to request a will serve letter because that is what the county required before moving forward. Instead of simply receiving the necessary will serve letter as I expected, I was told I would have to pay roughly $16,500 in fees, including sewer capacity charges. This surprised me. It did not align with what I had been told, and it did not seem to align with the actual physical reality of my project, which was not requiring a brand new direct connection to the sewer main. I would not be adding any additional capacity to the sewer system, just possibly using a little bit more of the capacity I already had. So I did what many ordinary people would do. I researched, I asked questions, I tried to understand. Eventually, the California Department of Housing and Community Development became involved. And in November of 2020, the HCD, under somebody other than Jamie Candelaria, helped to create and send the district what's called a technical assistance letter, indicating that ADUs should not be charged capacity fees unless a new direct connection is required. And it's spelled out under the heading, when a connection or capacity fee may be charged. It's the heading of the paragraph. And it goes, I quote, ADUs that are not described in Government Code 658.2, Subdivision E may be subject to a new utility connection directly between the ADU and the utility. If such a connection is mandated, then a fee or charges may be imposed, but shall not exceed the estimated reasonable cost of providing the service for which the fee or charge is imposed. That mattered. That gave me the confidence that the district would heed warning from the HCD and I would be able to continue my project. So this was in November of 2020. I said, I'm going to wait for the district to adjust their ordinance to comply. A few months later, in February 2021, the district contacted me and asked me to resubmit my application. I did. I sent the same plans that I had sent the previous year. Those plans showed the same connection method, indirect, using my existing lateral. Nothing material changed. And the district then issued me a will serve letter that very same day. That was a critical moment because at that point, any reasonable homeowner would believe that the issue had been reviewed and resolved. And most importantly, no capacity fee was demanded at the time. No payment was required. The district's own ordinance, section 301.7 in OVSD 82, states that, and I quote, parcel owners seeking a new sewer connection or expanded use of an existing sewer connection must pay all applicable capacity charges or make other financial arrangements for payment prior to the district approving or issuing a will serve letter. No warning was given that a large surprise bill might come later. No fee was asked and no fee was paid. As anyone would, I relied on the district's actions and the HCD technical assistance letter and ADU law. Reliance is a basic fairness principle. When a public agency reviews plans, issues approvals, and does not require payment at the time payment would ordinarily be due, especially where the agency's own ordinance states fees are to be collected up front, people reasonably rely on that conduct. They borrow money, they hire contractors, they order materials, they sign commitments, they proceed. That's exactly what I did. And during that period, the district also inspected my existing lateral. I was required to place my 150-foot sewer lateral at my own expense. I did. I complied, spent the money. I didn't fight, I didn't invade, I cooperated. My understanding was simple. If the existing sewer system lacks sufficient capacity to accommodate the additional calculated flow from my proposed ADU, the district would require a direct connection. If it did not require that, then the existing approved configuration was acceptable. And that was common sense understanding creating by the district conduct. In my mind, this was another confirmation that no fees would be presented to me later. I was not required to construct a new lateral just for my ADU, so I moved forward. I took out a loan. I paid thousands in increased material costs that were a result of the delays in getting my will serve letter when I originally requested it. I built the ADU. The county inspected. The county signed off. The sewer connection was inspected. I was just waiting for their certificate of occupancy. It was all done. Think about that timeline. At that point, the project was substantially complete. The commitments had been made. The money had been spent. The risk had been taken. I had relied on the actions of the district, the ADU laws, the guidance from the HCD. Nothing in the process gave me reason to doubt either its legality or basic fairness. That timing matters because what happened next is the very reason I'm here today. After all of that, I was suddenly sent a retroactive bill for $12,653. That was the first notice that I supposedly owed any money to the district. Not before approval, not before construction, not before I borrowed money, not before I replaced the lateral, not before completion. After. That is not ordinary billing. That is not ordinary notice. That is not how a fair public process should function. A homeowner should not have to guess whether a 5-figure charge might appear only after they essentially completed a major project like this. I never signed an agreement accepting that debt. I never signed a payment contract. I never acknowledged that the amount is valid. The only document I signed was an application requesting the will serve letter, and I built exactly what I described in the application. The application showed that I would be making an indirect connection, and the fixture count never changed. The will serve letter was issued without requiring payment. Again, that matters. Because I did not knowingly assume this burden. It was imposed retroactively after a full realistic reliance. I later learned that the district intended to place the disputed charges along with a second annual sewer charge onto my property tax bill. And that second annual charge began appearing year after year. I asked the committee to think about what that means to an ordinary homeowner. I asked for something reasonable. What did I ask for? Did I demand special treatment? Did I threaten anyone or refuse to engage? No. I faced with the shock of an unexpected additional charge of more than $12,000 payable through my property tax bill. Within a matter of months, I asked for something simple and reasonable, a payment plan, like those reportedly made available to other circumstances. I was told I could make a formal request before the board of directors at the next regularly scheduled monthly meeting. But before I could address the board in the ordinary course, a special meeting was held by the board. It included a closed session that reported no action taken, and I was summarily informed that my request had been denied. I was left with a choice. I had to protect my family home. If I am not able to pay my property taxes, what's the ultimate endpoint of that? You have penalties, interest you can't pay, and what's the ultimate end stop of that is your house goes into a property tax auction. You lose your house. How does that sound? It's never adjudicated. No third party that is not involved in this says, oh yeah, that's right, that was put on your taxes and you owe that money. It's never been that.
Mr. Vane,
Sorry.
I appreciate your willingness to come forward and speak to us, but I think that this issue has in fact been adjudicated. Is that not correct?
That is not correct.
It is
Well,
not.
let
correct?
me just jump in here. Mr. Vane is of course welcome to comment on the ordinance. This is a ordinance committee meeting. However, Mr. Vane's claim has been appealed to the full board before that appeal was decided. He's also brought some prior legal actions against the ordinance. What I'm saying is that this is not the forum for us to reconsider or re-adjudicate Mr. Vane's claim. If he wishes to speak on the ordinance and the proprietariness of it and his opinion, that's of course he's welcome to do so. I would just caution the board that this really isn't the forum to reconsider or take any action on Mr. Vane's claim, which has already been decided.
Very good. Thank you, Dennis. Is there more you wish to say, Mr. Vane?
Yes. But it doesn't sound like you guys are interested in hearing more. Let me do a little bit more, okay? Or no?
Please.
Sounds like you don't want to hear anymore.
You're a member of the public. It's your right to speak during a committee meeting.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Let's imagine California does not have a housing crisis. Let's imagine there's no accessory dwelling units, no ADU laws, no guidance from the state, no technical assistance letters from the HCD. Let's even imagine that there was no language in the district's ordinance, OVSD 82, requiring fees to be paid when a will-serve letter is issued. Even then, what's happened here would still feel wrong. Imagine you have aging parents or other family members that needed on-site care, and you want to keep them near their home they know, near family, near support. So you decide to build a modest granny flat. Remember, there's no ADUs, a granny flat. You do what responsible people are supposed to do. You contract the sewer district, you apply, you receive a will-serve letter that allows you to obtain a building permit. You plan, you budget, the district inspects your sewer lateral and tells you it must be replaced, and you replace it. But you're never told that you need a separate connection. And that fee that comes out of this is never, well, I guess I shouldn't say that now after you have reputed what I'm saying, but The project is complete. You built your granny flat, and a week later, without any warning or notice, you receive an invoice for $12,600. Completely retroactively, completely after fact, completely without any prior notice that that was going to happen, without anything. And then you discover on your property taxes that there's a second annual sewer charge has been placed on your property tax bill. And it happens year after year. So you ask yourself, even without EU law, without state guidance, without technical legal arguments, would any homeowner believe that was fair? That's kind of what's the issue for me, is I believe that my case deserved individualized consideration. Regardless of anyone's views on broader policy debates, the sequence of events here was extraordinary. Approved first, charged later. Relied first, billed later. Billed first, threatened later. Forced to pay afterward. This is not normal. From everything I have observed, not everyone was treated the way I was treated. Others were asked to pay before receiving their will serve letters. Others were quoted fees up front. Others received payment plans, options, and clear information through predictable processes. Others signed documents reflecting agreement to the fees. I did not. I was placed in the most vulnerable position possible. That matters. I'm not asking this committee to resolve every historical dispute this afternoon. I'm not asking you to concede every legal issue. I'm not asking for dramatic declarations. I'm asking for you to recommend the district revisit in good faith that you consider refunding the money I paid under these unusual circumstances. I'm not here because it was convenient. I'm here because it matters. I'm here because years later, I'm still carrying the consequences. I'm here because I believe public bodies can still choose fairness. And I'm here because if this happened to your family property, if approvals were given, reliance occurred, construction was completed, and only then a five-finger demand arrived, you would likely feel exactly as I do. That something about the process went wrong. And when something goes wrong, the honorable course is not to defend it forever. It is to fix it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
All right, can I ask him a question?
Feel free.
I just have a question for you, Mr. Vane. Is your ADU being used? Is your brother living in it now?
Sorry? Oh, no. He's almost 80 years old. He lives in Santa Barbara, and he's, getting old. And, it's our family property. And I currently have some renters staying in it until he's ready or is in need of a place.
Thank you.
Thank you. Lowell, any questions for the commentator? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Vane.
Well, thank you for listening to me.
I don't think we have any issue to vote on here.
No, there's no requirement for us to respond to public comment. I think history has been revised. So I'm not interested in going back on that one. We've had this thing through the courts and we've reviewed it several times. We've spent thousands of dollars of attorney fee. I just, there was a reason it went to the tax rolls. Because of behaviors. So I think the bigger issue though is his fundamental issue is, as we talked just earlier, can we charge for an indirect action? And that's what we asked Dennis to go check on. with the higher authorities, and they gave us, we don't know. So and I think that's where the hope for Mr. Vane is, and the other gentleman that was here, is if we ultimately resolve the issue around those indirect connections, then there's as you said, if the rules change, we'll change. And in that case, we probably will issue refunds for some of these. But it doesn't appear that's going to happen anytime within the next 6 months. Maybe not within the next 6 years. I don't know how these things work through the state legislature for these ordinances that are somewhat ambiguous, as Dennis has said.
And the thing that strikes me is that through Dennis or prior district council, we have asked HCD twice to opine on our ordinance. Once they said, looks fine. The second time they said, not our business.
It's an issue that's come up, but we don't want to, we can't resolve it.
We are not issuing any formal guidance.
So again, until that changes, I think we're, forced to make decisions in compliance, in accordance with our ordinances. As you said, they were approved by that. We wrote them. At the time when we wrote them, some of the rules have changed since then. But, again, we've got no guidance from a state level as to whether or not our ordinance is still correct. And until we do, we can't do anything about Mr. Vane's case or the other gentleman that was here,
And the courts have already ruled on Mr. Vane's case.
once, yes. So,
Okay,
it's,
and I think we are done with item 3. Thank you, Dennis, for at least letting us know that the state government ain't talking.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't have anything more definitive for you, but that's where we are. And I've actually got to jump off here for another commitment. So I will see you guys back later for the regular board meeting.
6 o'clock, right? Very good. Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you.
Item 4, reports. Any committee members have anything to add? Okay. General manager, anything?
An ad.
Very good. Then at 5:08, we are adjourned.